The night everything changed wasn't just any night. It was my mother-in-law's birthday dinner. A gathering of smiling faces, expensive wine, and forced laughter. I never liked these events, but I showed up, like I always did, out of respect. Or maybe just out of habit. I arrived late, not on purpose, just work ran over. The moment I stepped into the dining hall of the fancy restaurant my wife, Olivia, had booked, I knew something was off. The table was full, every seat occupied. Every seat except one. Mine. I glanced at Olivia, standing by her mother, laughing at something one of her cousins said. When she finally turned to me, her eyes barely flickered with recognition before she smirked. "Oh, isn't there the right number of seats?" she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. A wave of laughter rippled through the room. Her uncle, some balding guy who always smelled like cheap cigars, slapped the table and wheezed. I looked around, waiting for someone to say something, to offer me a chair, to at least acknowledge what was happening. But no one did. I exhaled sharply and forced a chuckle, not because I found it funny, but because I wasn't about to give them the satisfaction of seeing me react. Instead, I pulled out my phone, checked the time, and said evenly, "I guess I'm not part of the family." And then I walked out. Not in a rage. Not in a dramatic storm. Just a quiet, deliberate exit. The kind that leaves people unsettled. And it did. 30 minutes later, I got a text from Olivia. "Where are you?" I ignored it. Then another. "Seriously, come back." That was a joke. I stared at my screen, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. A joke. Yeah, just like all the other times. Like when her sister joked about how I wasn't on their level financially. Like when her mother joked about Olivia settling for me. Like when Olivia herself joked about how my job wasn't as prestigious as her brother's. It had been 6 years of jokes. And 6 years of me laughing along because I loved her. Not tonight. I drove, no destination in mind, just needing to be anywhere but there. My hands tightened around the wheel as my mind played through all the other times Olivia had brushed me aside, made me feel like an accessory, a background character in her carefully curated life. And then, something clicked. I had been blind. Because I wasn't just an accessory. I was disposable. And I was about to find out exactly how disposable. I drove aimlessly through the city, my fingers gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. The streetlights blurred past, and my thoughts churned, replaying every moment of that dinner. The laughter. Olivia's smirk. The way not a single person had even tried to offer me a seat. I wasn't part of the family. That much was clear. My phone vibrated again. "Olivia, don't be dramatic. Come home." Dramatic. That word made something snap inside me. I pulled over into an empty gas station lot, staring at the message. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't reply. Instead, I sat there, the glow of the street lamp casting a dull light over the car, my mind racing with everything I had been too blind to see. The night she came home late. The way she started dressing up for girls' nights, like she was going on a damn date. The way she pulled away when I touched her. And then there was last Saturday. She had been weird that day. Edgy. Checking her phone constantly. I had walked into the kitchen just in time to see her tuck it away quickly, her face blank, too blank. I had let it slide then. Told myself I was overthinking. Now, I wasn't so sure. My chest tightened as a sick feeling crawled up my spine. I needed answers. I started the car, but instead of heading home, I drove to the one place that could tell me the truth, our phone account portal. Olivia never bothered with tech stuff. I handled all the bills, all the passwords. I pulled into a dark parking lot, opened my laptop, and logged in. My heart pounded as I navigated to the call and text history. Her most recent texts weren't to me. They were to a number I didn't recognize. A number she had been texting all day. And all night. And not just today. Every single day. I swallowed hard, my pulse hammering in my ears. I copied the number, pasted it into a reverse lookup site, and waited. A name popped up. Nathan Carter. I didn't know a Nathan Carter. But Olivia did. My stomach twisted as I scrolled through the history. Late night calls. Dozens of messages. And then I saw the worst part. A hotel address. I sat there, staring at the screen, my hands ice cold. My mind screamed at me to stop, to shut the laptop, to pretend I never saw it. But I couldn't. I clicked on the location, my breath shallow. The timestamp was from 2 nights ago. The same night she told me she was at a work event. I gripped the edge of the laptop, my vision blurring with red-hot fury. She had lied. Again. And suddenly, everything, the missing seat, the humiliation, the jokes, it all made sense. I had been a fool, and I wasn't going to be one any longer. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking with a mix of rage and something colder clarity. This wasn't just suspicion anymore. This was real. Olivia was cheating, and she wasn't even being careful about it. The humiliation of that dinner had been bad enough, but this was worse. This was her treating me like I was nothing. Like I was some blind idiot who would never put the pieces together. I started the car and drove home, my mind spinning with everything I wanted to say, everything I wanted to do. I wasn't about to scream or break things. That would be too easy. No, I wanted her to feel this. I wanted her to see what it was like to be blindsided. When I pulled into the driveway, the house was dark. She was home. Of course she was. She had no idea I was on to her. I stepped inside, shutting the door softly behind me. The faint sound of the TV played from the living room. I found her curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. She looked up, barely reacting. "Oh, you're back." That was it. No apology, no concern. Just oh. I stared at her, something inside me tightening. Yeah, didn't feel like sitting through dinner with people who don't give a damn about me. She sighed, tossing her phone onto the couch. Come on, it was a joke. You really left over that. I studied her, taking in how easily she dismissed what happened, how little it mattered to her. It wasn't just that, I said quietly. Something in my tone made her hesitate. Okay, well, you missed a great dinner. But whatever. You're home now. I ignored the bait. Where were you 2 nights ago? That got her attention. Her posture stiffened, just for a second, before she forced a scoff. I told you, a work thing. A work thing. I could hear her voice in my head, saying the same excuse when she came home late that night. I remember the smell of perfume that wasn't hers. The way she avoided my touch, slipping out of her dress before I could even get near her. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Which hotel was the event at? Her face barely flickered, but I saw it, that split second of panic before she smoothed it over with a fake laugh. What? Why are you even asking me that? I tilted my head. Because I checked our phone bill. The color drained from her face. I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and held it up. Nathan Carter. You've been texting him every day, calling him late at night. And 2 nights ago? You were at a hotel with him. Silence. Then she did what she always did. She lied. This is insane. You're checking my phone records now? Jesus, you sound crazy. I stepped closer, my voice razor sharp. Don't even try to flip this on me. Just tell me the truth. Her lips pressed together, and for a second, I thought she might actually come clean. But then she rolled her eyes. Oh my God, fine. You want the truth. She laughed, but it wasn't real. It was sharp, biting. Yeah, I was at a hotel. Yeah, I was with Nathan. And you know what? I don't even feel bad about it. I went still. She leaned back against the couch, arms crossed, smirking like she had won something. You've been so boring lately. So predictable. And honestly, Nathan gives me what you can't. That did it. The last piece clicked into place. She never respected me. Never cared. I stared at her, not with anger, but with something colder. And I knew exactly what I had to do. A heavy silence settled between us. She expected me to explode, to shout, maybe even beg. But I didn't. I just looked at her, and for the first time in years, I really saw her. She was still smirking, still lounging on that couch like none of this mattered. Like I was the one making a scene over nothing. I nodded slowly, taking in the weight of her words, the sheer disrespect dripping from every syllable. So that's it, I said, voice eerily calm. She shrugged. Yeah, that's it. What? You thought we were some perfect little couple. She scoffed. Wake up. I stopped loving you a long time ago. You're just there. Something inside me went dead. I didn't even feel rage anymore. Just clarity. I turned, walking toward our bedroom. Behind me, I heard her laugh. Oh, what? You're gonna go cry about it. I didn't answer. I grabbed my duffel bag from the closet, threw in enough clothes to last a week. My passport, my laptop, a few essentials. I wasn't going to waste another second in this house. I was halfway down the stairs when I heard her footsteps behind me. What the hell are you doing? I didn't stop. Leaving. Her laugh was sharp, almost disbelieving. Oh please, where are you going? I zipped up my bag, grabbed my keys, and finally met her gaze. Anywhere that isn't here. Something flickered in her eyes then. Not regret, she wasn't capable of that. It was annoyance. Like she was just now realizing that I wasn't going to grovel, that I wasn't going to play her little game. You're not serious, she scoffed. I slung the bag over my shoulder. Dead serious. She crossed her arms, lips curling. You really think you're going to do better than me? I almost laughed. That was the thing about people like Olivia. They thought they were the prize, even when they were the problem. I walked past her, straight to the front door. Right as I reached for the handle, she spoke again. You'll be back. I paused for a fraction of a second. Then I looked over my shoulder, met her eyes one last time, and said, not a chance. And then I walked out. The cold night air hit my face as I stepped onto the porch. It felt like freedom, like the first real breath I had taken in years. But I wasn't done yet. She thought she had one. She had no idea what was coming. I got in my car and pulled away from the house, my grip tight on the wheel but my mind sharper than it had been in years. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even heartbroken. I was done. But being done didn't mean I was walking away without making sure she felt this. I drove to the one place Olivia never expected me to go, her parents' house. The same people who had laughed at me just hours ago, who had treated me like an outsider at that dinner. They thought they could humiliate me, that I'd just take it. But tonight, I was going to let them see exactly who their daughter really was. I pulled up in their driveway, stepped out, and knocked. A few moments later, the door swung open, and there stood Olivia's father, Robert, gray-haired, always in a stiff-collared shirt, always looking at me like I wasn't good enough. He frowned. What the hell are you doing here? I smiled. A cold, knowing smile. I figured you should know what your perfect daughter has been up to. I pushed past him into the house. Olivia's mother, Diane, was sitting on the couch, a glass of wine in hand. She looked up, startled. Where's Olivia? I asked casually, like I was asking about the weather. Robert slammed the door shut. Why do you care? I pulled out my phone, scrolled to the screenshot I had taken of Olivia's text to Nathan, and held it up for them to see. Their faces shifted in an instant. Diane set down her wine glass, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. Robert squinted at the screen, then looked at me. What is this? I tilted my head. Oh, just proof that your daughter's been screwing some guy named Nathan Carter. In case you were wondering why she suddenly started treating me like trash. Diane let out a gasp. That's not possible. I laughed. Oh, it's very possible. Your daughter's been cheating for months. And you know what? I would have handled this quietly. Would have just walked away. But after that little stunt you pulled tonight? That dinner. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You all humiliated me. Laughed at me like I was nothing. And the whole time, your daughter was the real disgrace. Robert's face turned red. He looked at Diane, then back at me. We had no idea. Yeah. I pocketed my phone. Maybe next time, don't treat the wrong person like garbage. I turned on my heel and walked out, leaving them standing there, stunned. As I got back in my car, my phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. What the hell did you just do? I smirked. Payback. I didn't respond to Olivia's text. I wanted her to sit with it, let the panic sink in. I could imagine it now, her phone blowing up with calls from her parents, their perfect image of her shattered. Good. I wasn't done yet. I drove back into the city, straight to a hotel. Not the kind Olivia snuck around in, but a real hotel, one where I could get a room, a stiff drink, and some much-needed silence. As I checked in, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Control. The second I got to my room, I pulled out my phone again. There was one more call I needed to make. Nathan Carter. I had no idea what kind of guy he was. Maybe he was a scumbag like Olivia. Maybe he didn't even know she was married. Either way, he was about to find out. I hit dial. The phone rang twice before he answered. His voice was groggy, annoyed. Hello. I leaned against the hotel window, looking down at the city lights. Hey, Nathan. This is Olivia's husband. Silence. Then a sharp breath. What? I almost laughed. Yeah, I figured she didn't tell you. There was a long pause, then his voice hardened. Listen, man, I don't know what you think. I cut him off. I know exactly what I think. I've got the texts. The hotel receipts. All of it. Another pause. This one longer. Then, to my surprise, he sighed. Jesus Christ. She told me you two were separated. That made me pause. I had expected him to deny everything, maybe even throw some attitude my way. But his voice wasn't defensive. It was exhausted. We're not separated, I said flatly. At least, we weren't before tonight. Another sharp breath on his end. I swear to God, I had no idea. I almost believed him. Almost. You sure about that? I asked. Look, man, I don't need to lie to you. If I had known she was still with you, I wouldn't have touched her. I don't mess with married women. I ran a hand down my face. Well, congratulations. You just did. More silence. Then, in a bitter voice, he said, she's a piece of work, huh? I exhaled. You have no idea. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he let out a humorless laugh. So what now? You coming after me? I scoffed. Nah, you're not my problem. She is. He was quiet for a long time. Then, almost cautiously, he said, listen. I don't know you, but if you want to get even, I might have something you'd want to see. That caught my attention. I straightened up. I'm listening. Nathan sighed. Give me a few minutes. I'll send you something. The call ended. I stared at my phone, my pulse quickening. Whatever Nathan had. I had a feeling it was going to make this even worse. And I was ready for it. I paced the hotel room, my mind racing. What the hell was Nathan about to send me? Another confirmation of what I already knew? Or was there something even worse lurking in the shadows? My phone buzzed. A message. Nathan, check your email. Sent you something you should see. I didn't hesitate. I opened my laptop, logged into my email, and there it was, a forwarded thread of messages and attachments. My stomach twisted as I clicked on the first one. It was a screenshot. Olivia's name at the top. Her messages to Nathan were clear as day. He's such a joke. I barely have to try anymore, and he still does whatever I want. Honestly, if he found out, who cares? He's too pathetic to leave. I clenched my fists. But it got worse. Another message, dated a month ago. Nathan, if I get caught, just play dumb. I'll handle it. He's not going to do anything. He never does. I scrolled faster, my pulse hammering. Attached to the last email was a video file. I hesitated. Then I clicked. The screen flickered to life. The video was shaky, like it had been recorded quickly, without much thought. But the audio? The audio was clear as day. Olivia's voice. Yeah, I'll be home later. No, he won't suspect anything. He's too busy being a good husband or whatever. God, you should see the way he looks at me like I'm some saint. It's pathetic. Nathan's voice responded, but I barely heard it. My ears were ringing. Then Olivia laughed. Honestly, I don't even know why I married him. Probably just needed a placeholder until someone better came along. I slammed the laptop shut. For a moment, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I had known she was a liar, a cheater, a selfish excuse for a human being. But this was another level. A placeholder. Something inside me hardened, turned to ice. I grabbed my phone and typed out a single message to Olivia. Pack your things. You're leaving tomorrow. It took less than a minute for her to reply. Excuse me. I smiled. A sharp, humorless smile. I saw everything. Every text. Every video. Every word you said about me. And guess what? You're right. I won't do anything. I waited a second, then sent the next message. Because you're not worth it. Her typing bubble popped up instantly. Then it disappeared. Then popped up again. I imagined her sitting in our house, panicking, scrambling for a way to manipulate her way out of this. Too late. I turned off my phone, leaned back in the chair, and let out a breath. Tomorrow, she'd come home to the consequences she never saw coming. Morning came, and I was already up, drinking bad hotel coffee, staring at my phone. No new messages from Olivia. No desperate calls. She was planning something. I knew her too well. I checked out of the hotel, got in my car, and drove home. The moment I pulled into the driveway, I saw her car parked where it always was, like nothing had changed. But everything had. I stepped inside, and there she was, standing in the living room, arms crossed, ready for battle. So, you think you can just kick me out? She sneered. I shut the door behind me. I don't think. I know. She let out a sharp laugh, shaking her head. You're being ridiculous. You don't get to just throw me out of my house. I smirked. Our house. And actually, yeah, I do. Because I already called a lawyer. That shut her up. For a second, at least. Her eyes narrowed, calculating. You wouldn't. I pulled my phone from my pocket, scrolled to the email from the lawyer's office, and held it up. Filed this morning. Her face twisted with something ugly, anger, desperation, maybe even fear. You're a pathetic little man. You know that? I shrugged. Maybe. But at least I'm not a lying, cheating, backstabbing. Spare me the dramatics. She rolled her eyes, but her voice wasn't as steady as before. You think you're going to be some big winner in this? You're nothing without me. I laughed. Actually laughed. Olivia, the only thing I'm losing here is dead weight. Her face turned red. She opened her mouth to fire back, but before she could, I walked past her and straight to the hallway closet. Pulled out a suitcase. Start packing, I said. I want you out by the end of the day. She scoffed. And where exactly do you think I'm going? I smirked. I don't care. Maybe Nathan's got a spare room. Her expression flickered, just for a second. Just enough for me to see it. She hadn't told him. She'd been so sure she could talk her way out of this, keep her double life going. Not anymore. She tried one last time. Dropped her arms, softened her voice. Look, we don't have to do this. We can fix things. I raised an eyebrow. You called me pathetic 10 minutes ago. Her lips pressed together. I leaned in just slightly, lowering my voice. And I meant what I said last night. You're not worth it. Something in her broke then. Her mask slipped. She grabbed the suitcase and yanked it open, her movements sharp, angry. I watched her shove clothes inside, muttering curses under her breath. It didn't matter. She could call me every name in the book. By the end of the day, she'd be gone. She packed like she was trying to break something. Clothes stuffed into the suitcase without folding, drawers slammed shut so hard I thought they'd break. Every few minutes, she'd throw a glare my way, like she expected me to change my mind. I didn't. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching. I wasn't going to make this easy for her. She wanted to humiliate me? Treat me like a fool? Make me feel like I was nothing? Now she got to feel what it was like to have no control. When she finished stuffing her things into the suitcase, she yanked the zipper closed and turned to me, lips curled in a sneer. You'll regret this. I let out a slow breath, tilting my head. You know what's funny? That's exactly what your family looked like last night, right after I told them everything. Her smirk vanished. You. I nodded, stepping closer. Oh yeah. You should have seen their faces. Mommy and Daddy? Stunned. Like someone smacked them across the face. They couldn't believe their golden girl was nothing but a lying, cheating. Shut up. I smiled. Touched a nerve. Her hands curled into fists. You're such a petty little man. I leaned against the doorframe. And yet I'm not the one dragging a suitcase out of the house I pay for. Her face twisted in fury, but she didn't have a comeback. She knew I had one. She grabbed her suitcase and stomped toward the door, yanking it open. The moment she stepped outside, I followed, just to watch. The sky was gray, the wind sharp. She looked small standing there, clutching her luggage like a defeated soldier. For the first time in years, I felt light. She turned to me one last time, eyes flashing. You think you're better than me now? I didn't even hesitate. I always was. She opened her mouth, then shut it. She had nothing left to say. Without another word, she turned and walked to her car, tossing the suitcase into the trunk. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching as she drove away. The second her car disappeared down the street, I let out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. It was over. I stepped back inside, shutting the door behind me. The house was silent, but it didn't feel empty. It felt free. I wasn't broken. I wasn't lost. I was done. And for the first time in years, that felt like the best thing in the world. The silence in the house was different now. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't suffocating. It was mine. I walked through the living room, the kitchen, running my fingers along the counters, noticing things I hadn't before. The absence of her perfume in the air. The way the house suddenly felt bigger without her in it. I sat down on the couch, stretching my legs out, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to prove myself. I didn't have to impress, didn't have to chase someone who didn't even respect me. I had one. My phone buzzed. A message from Nathan. She just called me. Wanted me to take her in. I told her to go to hell. I smirked. I typed back. Guess she ran out of options. Nathan replied almost instantly. She played us both. Good luck, man. You're better off. Damn right I was. I tossed my phone onto the table, stood up, and stretched. The weight in my chest, the anger, the humiliation from last night, it was gone. I was done wasting my time on someone who never deserved me. Done second-guessing, done explaining myself to people who never gave a damn about me in the first place. I wasn't broken. I wasn't even sad. I was free. And for the first time in a long time, I was excited to see what came next. I stood in the middle of the living room, letting the silence sink in. Not the kind of silence that came from tension, from walking on eggshells, from waiting for another argument to start. No, this was different. It was clean. It was mine. I poured myself a drink, something I never really did before because Olivia hated when I drank at home. Bad habit, she used to say. Like she had any room to judge. I raised the glass to no one in particular and took a slow sip. letting the burn settle in my chest. Then, for the first time since this whole mess started, I laughed. Not bitterly, not out of frustration. Just laughed. Because she thought she could break me. Thought she could treat me like a backup plan, a placeholder, a joke. And now? She was the one with nowhere to go. She had burned every bridge, lied to everyone, humiliated me in front of her family, only for them to turn on her the second they learned the truth. She thought she was untouchable. Turns out, she was just replaceable. I finished my drink, set the glass down, and grabbed my keys. I wasn't going to sit around in this house dwelling on the past. I wasn't going to spend another second thinking about her. I had wasted enough time on Olivia. It was time to start living for me. I stepped outside, inhaling the crisp evening air. The sky was painted with streaks of orange and pink, like the universe was closing one chapter and opening another just for me. I locked the door behind me, smiled to myself, and walked away without looking back.